When 19-year-old Jay Slater vanished during a holiday in Tenerife, the news sent shockwaves not just through his hometown of Oswaldtwistle, Lancashire, but across the UK. The teenager's disappearance, and the grim discovery of his body weeks later, has left behind a trail of grief, unanswered questions, and a family bracing themselves for a painful reality. Closure may be a year or more away. Though his remains have now been flown home, allowing loved ones to begin preparations for a dignified farewell, the investigation surrounding his final hours remains steeped in mystery. Experts warn that formal answers about how he died could take months, if not an entire year, leaving his devastated family in limbo as they struggle to process both their loss and the swirling speculation that continues to engulf the case. The long road to repatriation. For Jay's mother, Debbie Duncan, the process of bringing her son home was not a simple or swift one. Spanish legal procedures required a painstaking examination of the remains, documentation, and clearance from multiple authorities. While his loved ones were desperate to reunite with him, the official processes felt slow, almost agonizing, dragging out what was already the most unbearable chapter of their lives. When I finally got the call that we could bring him back, it wasn't relief. It was heartbreak all over again, Debbie confided to close friends. You want to think it means answers, but really, it just means another wait. The repatriation was funded largely by a GoFundMe page set up in the early days of his disappearance. Originally intended to cover the costs of searching the rugged Tenerife terrain, the fund, which drew donations from more than 6,000 people, was later redirected to help with funeral expenses and legal fees. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel. For Jay's family, the support has been a lifeline, but it has also brought its share of criticism and cruel trolling. Every time you log on, there's someone questioning what we're doing or spreading their own theories, a family friend said. It's exhausting, and it stops the family from grieving in peace. An investigation clouded by silence. Spanish authorities have remained tight-lipped about the circumstances of Jay's death. Local police have released few details, citing the need to protect the integrity of the ongoing inquiry. The official line is that Jay became separated from friends after a night out, ended up in a remote Airbnb on the northwestern coast of the island, and was last seen heading into the mountainous Masca Valley with no water, no phone charge, and little idea of the perilous terrain. His body was discovered weeks later, though exactly where and under what conditions remains unclear. For those who followed the story from the start, the silence has only fueled speculation. Online forums are filled with armchair detectives dissecting timelines, questioning witness statements, and proposing everything from foul play to tragic accident. Yet, for Debbie and the rest of Jay's family, the noise only makes the reality harder to bear. All they want is the truth, said one family member. They want to know what happened in his final hours, but every day it feels further out of reach. Why the wait could stretch a year? Experts in international law and forensic procedures warn that the delay in getting answers is not unusual. Autopsy reports in Spain can take months, especially when toxicology is involved. When foreign nationals die abroad under unusual circumstances, multiple agencies, local police, coroners, even Interpol, may all need to coordinate, slowing the process further. Families often expect immediate answers once the body is returned home, but that's rarely the case, said one UK-based coroner familiar with such situations. If samples need to be retested or shared between jurisdictions, you can be looking at a year or more before there is a definitive ruling on cause of death. That delay can have devastating effects on families. Without an official cause of death, questions linger. Was it an accident? Was someone else involved? Could it have been prevented? For the Slater family, each day without clarity feels like a wound that cannot heal. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel. The Weight of Uncertainty. In the weeks since Jay's return, his hometown has wrapped the family in love and support. Candlelight vigils have been held, flowers laid at the football pitch where Jay once played, and messages of solidarity written across social media. Yet beneath the public displays of unity lies an aching void. Jay's friends still scroll through old Snapchat stories, replaying his laughter and energy. His grandmother, often described as the rock of the family, has been seen visiting his childhood haunts, quietly lost in thought. His mother, once outspoken in media appeals, has retreated into silence, exhausted by grief and the weight of not knowing. Closure isn't just about a funeral, explained a grief counselor who has worked with families in similar tragedies. It's about understanding the story of what happened. When that story has missing pieces, the grief is suspended. You can't put it down because your mind keeps going back to the unanswered questions. A community still searching for sense. Jay's disappearance has left scars not only on his family, but also on the wider community. In Osseltwistle, a tight-knit town where everyone knows each other, the story has become almost mythic in its tragedy. Parents warn teenagers about the risks of traveling abroad. Friends replay the what-ifs. What if he'd stayed with them? What if someone had stopped him from leaving that Airbnb? What if he'd made one more phone call? In Tenerife, locals in the Masca Valley still shake their heads in disbelief when asked about the case. Hikers say the area is treacherous even for the experienced, and many believe Jay simply underestimated the dangers. Others, however, whisper darker theories, stories of robbery, confrontation, or worse. For now, all such speculation remains just that, speculation. The truth lies buried in the unreleased reports, awaiting official confirmation. The pain of public scrutiny. Perhaps one of the cruelest twists in the tragedy is the spotlight itself. From the moment Jay's disappearance hit headlines, his family's private grief became public property. In the early days, media coverage provided hope, spreading his photo across the UK and Europe, rallying strangers to share information. But as days turned into weeks, the tone shifted. Articles began questioning the search, the family's fundraising, even Jay's past. Trolls took to social media with vile claims, harassing Debbie in her lowest moments. It's as if people forget there's a grieving mother on the other end of those comments, said one family friend. She's lost her son. That should be all anyone needs to know. Holding on to Jay's memory. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel. Despite the pain, Jay's family remained determined to honor his life, rather than let it be defined by the circumstances of his death. Plans for his funeral include a celebration of his passions, football, music, and friendship. Loved ones have spoken of releasing balloons in his memory, wearing his favorite colors, and ensuring the service reflects the vibrant young man they knew. Jay wasn't perfect, no teenager is, but he was ours, said his uncle at a recent gathering. He was full of energy, always smiling, always joking. That's what we'll remember, not the way he died. There are also discussions about setting up a memorial fund in his name, perhaps to support young people from the area in pursuing travel, sports, or education, a way of turning tragedy into legacy. What comes next? For now, the Slater family must live with the hardest truth of all. They may never get every answer. Even if an autopsy delivers a clinical cause of death, the finer details, the conversations, the choices, the final moments will remain locked away with Jay. Still, they wait. They wait for a phone call from the coroner. They wait for a letter from Spanish authorities. They wait for the day when someone, somewhere, puts an official word to the nightmare they've been living. Until then, life continues in fragments. His friends still laugh over old memories, even as tears follow. His family still set a place at the table, if only in spirit. His town still feels the gap where a young man once stood. And across the UK, people who never knew him still find themselves asking, how could a holiday end like this? A mystery that lingers. It is that sense of mystery, of a story unfinished, that haunts the case of Jay Slater. Unlike other tragedies where circumstances are clear, his death remains a puzzle with missing pieces. A body found, but no narrative. A family grieving, but with no peace. A community searching for answers, but finding only silence. As the weeks stretch into months, one truth becomes clear. Time may dull the pain, but it will not erase the questions. And until those questions are answered, whether in 6 months, 12 months, or never, the shadow of Tenerife will continue to fall across Osseltwistle, across Debbie Duncan's family, and across everyone who followed the desperate search for a boy who just wanted a holiday adventure. Subscribe the channel to get such videos.